15-Minute Mondays, your kickstart to week high-energy 15-minute episode on the Success Blueprint. I'm your host, Daniel Greg Johnson. Let's get right into it.
Hello everybody, welcome back on the Success Blueprint. It is 15-Minute Monday time. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Welcome back. Thank you for giving me the time of your morning, your day. I really appreciate you being back. Today, time lost in plain sight. There's a point where time management becomes an insult. Not because managing time is unimportant, but rather the advice is often too small for the problem people are carrying. We tell people to block their calendars, wake up earlier, use better apps, color code their diary, batch their emails, mute their notifications, and protect their mornings. And some of that helps, tribe. But sometimes the problem is not that you are bad at managing time. The problem is that there is not enough time for the level of responsibility you are trying to carry. That sentence matters because it changes the conversation. It moves the issue away from guilt into reality. If the load is too large, no diary system will save you. If every task still depends on your judgment, your presence, your approval, your emotional availability, and your quality control, then you do not have a time management problem, you have a capacity design problem. And this is where many capable people get trapped. They buy back time through delegation, but the moment space appears, it gets absorbed. A reclaimed hour becomes admin. A quiet block becomes a phone call. A gap in the diary becomes someone else's urgency. A free morning becomes low-value control, notification checking, inbox gazing, social media drift, or another task that should never have reached your level. So the question is not only, how do I create more time? The sharper question here is, what did I buy this time back for, and why did I allow it to disappear again? So what's the problem here? The problem is that most people treat time as empty space instead of assigned capacity. If there's an open block in the diary, they assume it is available. But open does not mean available. Open may mean thinking time, recovery time, strategic time, preparation time, leadership time, or decision time. The problem here is that if you do not name the purpose of time before the world finds it, the world will name it for you. This is why many leaders feel permanently busy even after they delegate. They hand over tasks, but they do not redesign the system. The responsibility remains psychologically attached to them. They still check, chase, fix, remind, approve, correct, and rescue. The task may have not moved on paper, but the mental load has not moved. That is not delegation. That is task relocation with emotional ownership still sitting in the same place. Real delegation needs standards, capability, and feedback loops. People must know what good looks like. They must know when to update you, when to escalate, when to decide, and when to complete without pulling you back into the middle. Without that structure, tribe, delegation creates anxiety because your brain still believes quality depends on your constant presence. Time leakage does not only happen through big commitments. It happens in tiny fractures. One notification, one personal message, one unnecessary call, one quick scroll, one let me just check. The visible interruption may take 30 seconds, but the cost of returning to deep focus may be far greater. The real damage is not the moment you lose, it is the attention residue that follows you back into the work. So what's the cost and consequence here? What is the currency that we're bleeding? The cost of time leakage is not only that you become busy. The deeper cost is that your highest value work never gets your highest quality attention. You are physically present but mentally fragmented. You are in meetings, but part of your mind is still in the message you saw. You are trying to think strategically, but your attention is being pulled through tiny open doors all day. Eventually, your day becomes a series of partial presences. You are partly work, partly respond, partly lead, partly think, partly listen, and partly recover and partly worry. That's just parts of you leaking throughout the entire day. Nothing gets the full force of your intelligence because your attention keeps being taxed by low-grade interruption. That is exhausting because the human brain was not built to endlessly switch context and still produce executive-level clarity, not even normal day-to-day clarity. Every switch has a cost. Every interruption leaves residue. Every unplanned demand takes something from the next thing you were supposed to do well. And this is where the emotional consequence appears. You finish the day tired but not satisfied. You were active but not effective. You handled things but did not move the right things. You cleared noise but did not protect value. And you work hard but the work did not compound. That is one of the most frustrating forms of exhaustion, being drained by activity that does not create progress. The tragedy is that many people respond by trying to become more efficient. But efficiency is not good enough when the wrong things have access to your time tribe. You can become extremely efficient at serving a life that is badly designed. So, in order to count this, I'll give you a 5-step toolkit. Number 1, audit the leaks before you blame the calendar. Start by studying where your time actually disappears. First exercise I do with top-level executives, time audits. And you will see how effective it is because most people don't even know how to do it and how to detect the leakage. Do not only look at meetings and formal commitments, look at the soft leaks, checking messages between tasks, fixing things you should have delegated, taking calls during focus time, saying yes because the diary looks open, rescuing work that was not clearly handed over and allowing personal or digital interruptions into moments that require depth. Ask yourself where time is technically available but practically unprotected. That is where the real leakage often hides. Number 2, assign reclaimed time before it appears. When delegation creates space, do not wait until the space arrives to decide what it is for. That is too late. Unassigned time gets eaten. Before the day begins, name the recovered block and give it a job. It may be a strategic thinking session, preparation, high-value admin, a difficult decision, coaching a team member, reviewing standards, or genuine recovery. Time that has no purpose will always be vulnerable to someone else's priority. Number 3, delegate standards, not just tasks. If you hand over the task but keep the standard trapped inside your own head, people will keep coming back to you. They are not always dependent because they lack ability. Sometimes they are dependent because success has never been made visible for them. Define what good looks like. Define the tone, quality markers, deadline, milestones, and escalation points. Then let the person own the task inside that structure. This is how you move from personal control to scalable quality. Number 4, build feedback loops that replace constant presence. You do not need to disappear from delegated work. You need to stop being permanently involved. A good feedback loop gives you enough visibility to trust the process without becoming the process. Decide when updates happen, what information is needed, what requires escalation, and what can be completed without your involvement. This lowers anxiety while keeping responsibility where it belongs. The goal is not to lose control. The goal is to stop confusing control with constant access. And number 5, treat attention as an executive asset. Your attention is not just a casual resource. It is one of the most valuable things you bring to your work, your people, and your life. Protect it accordingly. Turn off non-essential previews. Put the phone face down during focus blocks and meaningful conversations. Mute what does not deserve immediate access. Create review times instead of continuous availability. Most importantly, pause when the impulse to check appears. And then the most important part, ask what need is underneath it. Is it fatigue, boredom, avoidance, relief-seeking, or anxiety? Once you name the need, you can choose a better response. And that is powerful. And what's the deeper meaning here, tribe? Time is not only a productivity issue. Time is a truth issue. Your calendar reveals what you are actually serving. Your interruptions reveal what has access to you. And your fatigue reveals what your life is asking you to carry. Your leakage reveals the places where your standards are not yet protected by systems. Many people are not short on ambition. They are short on protected capacity. They have the desire, the intelligence, the work ethic, and the responsibility, but they have not built a structure strong enough to hold the level they are trying to operate at. This is why the sentence matters. The problem is not your time management. It is that there is not enough time for the level of responsibility you are trying to carry. That insight removes shame, but it also adds responsibility. If the load is too big, something must change. You must delegate better, protect attention harder, reduce false availability, clarify standards, create feedback loops, and stop allowing every recovered minute to be swallowed by the next urgent thing. What does that look like in real life? A leader delegates a repetitive process and technically recovers a full working day. But because that time is not assigned in advance, it gets filled with inbox clearing, checking on the delegated task, helping with small issues, and responding to messages that could have waited. By the end of the day, the task has moved, but the leader still feels no freer. Another person blocks 2 hours for focused work, but keeps their phone visible. They do not scroll for long, but every notification pulls their mind away from the task. They return to the work repeatedly, but never fully. The diary says 2 hours of focus. The brain experiences 2 hours of recovery from interruptions. Let me give you some advanced strategies here. The first advanced strategy is to rename open space. Do not call it free time. Call it assigned leadership capacity. When you see an open block, write its purpose directly into the calendar. Thinking, preparation, decision work, or recovery, standards review, strategic follow-through. The label protects the time from being treated as available. The second strategy is to create a notification hierarchy. Not every person, app, or message deserves equal access to your attention. Decide what is operationally critical, what can wait, what must be muted, and what should be reviewed only at planned times. Access to your attention should be earned by importance, not granted by default. And the third strategy is to review one question at the end of each day. Where did I leak time, and what system would prevent that leak tomorrow? Do not rely on willpower. Willpower weakens under pressure. Systems protect you when motivation is not available. And after all that, let me give you a weekly challenge for immediate implementation. This week, run a time leakage audit for 5 working days. Do not make it complicated. At the end of each day, write down where your time was lost, where your attention was interrupted, where delegated work came back to you, and where open spaces was filled by something that did not deserve it. Then choose one recovered block of time and assign it before the day begins. Protect it, name it. Use it for something that actually moves your life, leadership, or work forward. The goal is not to become busier. The goal is to become cleaner with your capacity. And if you need a leadership time audit, I have one that I use with my leaders, executives. Send me a message, fan message, or an email. My contact details are in the podcast episode description, and I send it to you completely for free, no strings attached. And before we close, a special thank you to our sponsor, Doc Marty Mushrooms, for supporting this episode and the work we do here on the Success Blueprint. If you are serious about building a life that demands clearer thinking, better energy, and more consistent performance, then take care of the body and mind that carry that ambition every day. Head over to docmarty.com, use the discount code DAN20, DAN20, for a 20% discount on your first purchase. Marty's products are amazing. Head over to docmarty.com, leave him some love, and give yourself one more practical vote toward better health, better focus, and better follow-through. And in closing, tribe, I leave you with this. The problem is not always your time management. Sometimes the problem is that life you are trying to carry has outgrown the system holding it. You cannot keep adding responsibility to the same diary, the same attention span, the same habits, and the same unclear delegation structure and expect peace to appear. Time does not only need to be managed, it needs to be defended. Reclaimed time needs a purpose. Delegated work needs standards. Attention needs boundaries. Open space needs a name. Leadership needs capacity that is not constantly being stolen by noise. So stop treating every gap as availability. Stop giving low-value interruptions premium access to your mind. And stop delegating tasks while keeping emotional ownership. Stop buying back time and then handing it back to the chaos tribe. The next level of your life may not require you to work harder. It may just require you to protect what your hard work has already earned. Because time that is not directed will be consumed. Attention that is not protected will be captured. And responsibility that is not designed will become weight. And your life is too important to be slowly lost through tiny leaks you could have closed. And with that, I leave you. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Check in on Thursday on the Executive 5. This was Daniel Craig Johnson, your host on the Success Blueprint. With my promise, I'll be back. Take care, tribe.